will be calling on Mr. Steve Babaeko. I'll read his profile very quickly. He's the CEO of Extreme Ideas and the president of the Association of Advertising Agencies in Nigeria. When you think of a multifaceted, creative, innovative businessman, the image of Steve Babaeko comes to mind. I agree. In 2012, he moved into the big league by setting up Extreme Ideas, a Lagos-based digital advertising agency that has now grown to different countries in Africa. In 2019, his agency, Extreme Ideas, was awarded the most creative agency in Nigeria. The agency has since inception launched a sister agency, Extreme Music, a record label that promotes music artists. Extreme Music has managed some of the best talents in Nigeria, like Price and Simi. In his 25 years of active service, Babaeko has led some of the legendary marketing campaigns in Africa. Some of these include the Proudly Nigerian campaign for British American Tobacco, the Now You're Talking campaign for Etisalat, You Need a New Bank campaign for Diamond Bank, amongst many others. Babaeko is a fellow of the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, the former chairman of Lagos Advertising and Ideas Festival Live, a member of the board of International Advertising Association in Nigeria. Behind those long dreads at the big, sharp, captivating frame of Steve Babaeko lies a very big heart. This is evident as he has devoted his life to helping people and communities all through the years. Ladies and gentlemen, are we lucky to have Mr. Steve Babaeko with us today? Please make him welcome. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. Apologies, I came in straight like I was introduced as the president of the Association of Advertising Agencies of Nigeria, AAAN. We were actually, we had an emergency board meeting because this year AAAN is going to turn 50 years old as an association. But then there was a time we were 5 years old, and to just come here to 83 Resources for, let me just first say a big shout out to Tose for 5 years in the business, and she being able to put this kind of seminar together, I think she deserves a good round of applause. Like they say, most businesses will probably die in their first 5 years. Most businesses in their first 5 years, that's where you know whether a business is going to survive or is going to thrive. The fact that we're here celebrating 5 years of a solid PR company shows that she's one of those very few that survived. And people talk about Nigeria, and it's a beautiful country. And I hope we all have our PVC. How many people have their PVC here? Let me see your hands up. There are some people without PVC. Please, you get your PVC, whatever you do, and vote anybody you want. I don't care who you vote for, but exercise their right to vote. It's about time we take charge of our country. I have my PVC. I can show it to you if you guys want to see it. I intend to vote, and I intend to elect someone that will take this country to the next level. All right, so let's leave politics aside for a second. I'm here. I have 20 minutes before I run along because I have another quick meeting somewhere on another end of the town. But just to know us quickly, I want to know who we're dealing with here. What do you do? Quickly, start from here.
Morning, I'm Giwa Emisi. I'm into fashion business, that's creating ready-to-wear line, and also building brands for small SMEs as well.
Fantastic. Nice to meet you.
Okay, my name is Joyce.
Hi, Joyce.
I run a media buying agency.
Lovely.
And I also run a fashion brand.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, my name is Toyosi.
Hi, Toyosi.
I'm an event planner and a gift curator.
Nice to meet you.
My name is Ozzy.
Hi, Ozzy.
I own a small business online that's into fashion, more like thrift and brand new.
Nice to meet you, Ozzy.
Hi, my name is Lolade.
Hi, Lolade.
I'm a luxury shopper. I deal with luxury wares.
Okay. Yeah. Nice to meet you. My story is out there anyway. I just said somewhere. I'm sure you won't to see it, but just for the benefit of the people who may just be meeting me for the first time, I started my career in 1995 as a copywriter. I grew up in Kaduna. I did most of my schooling in the north. I speak Hausa, I write Hausa. I speak Yoruba, I write Yoruba. A bit of Igbo. I'm so upset with myself because I actually did do part of my growing up in Owerri. I attended Olu Road Primary School in the early beginnings, but my father was in the army, so we traveled quite a bit. But I missed being able to speak Igbo, but I picked 2 words from it. But I grew up in the north, and when I finally decided, I think I was 24 that year, and I decided enough of the north. Advertising is my passion, and if I really, really want to pursue this passion of mine, if I want to pursue this passion of mine, there was no way I was going to sit in Kaduna and make it happen. Because at that time, even in that time, I realized that the bulk of the agencies, advertising agencies that were worth talking about, were all based in Lagos. So I packed my bag and I came out through Benin. There are some of the people that I served with. I did my youth service at NTA Kano, and some guys that I met who lived in Benin. So I came from Kaduna, went to Benin, stayed there with a distant relative. And I met with some of those guys. We went out, the small money that I had saved from Kaduna. You buy beer for me, I buy beer for you. By the time we were done, I only had the money for my boss to come to Lagos. And by the time I finally landed in Lagos on June 8, 1995, I had the princely sum of 500 naira left in my pocket. That's how I got here. But I was fortunate. I was able to go to a hotel, called Golden Tulip Hotel. It used to be Doba Hotel back in the days. And the general manager was Hausa at the time. I speak Hausa, of course, so I went to him. He knew my uncle, who was the chief engineer in that hotel a couple of years before. And that was how I got the special arrangement to squat with the chef of the hotel. And I ended up squatting in that small room, sleeping on that couch for the next 2 years of my life. I got a job with MCNA as a copywriter. I think it's September, so I came to Lagos June. I was at home July, August. Not so bad. So after all the hustling, I finally got my first appointment letter to become a copywriter at MCNA. MCNA used to be in Shonibari Estate. The place I found to squat in used to be in Mile 2. And there was this bad patch of road between Sele bus stop coming to Oshodi back then in 95. If you miss crossing that path by 6:30, you're going to sleep on that road that day. So it meant that every time I have to leave the hotel, which was in Amuwo Odofi, which is still in Amuwo Odofi, and I'll trek out of that hotel to Mile 2, take about 25, 27 minutes by walking. Well, of course, I was very skinny then because I was walking a lot. Then I would take a Molue bus from Mile 2 going to Oshodi. Then I would take a bus going from Oshodi to Ikeja, and I would drop off at the Nitel bus stop, cross the road, and I'll go to Shonibari Estate. But once I got that job, I worked my behind off. Most people did not understand that I was the first to come because I knew I had to pass that patch of road before it gets blocked. And I was usually the last to go because I didn't want to sleep inside traffic. And I also knew that I could go back to the hotel and the chef was not there. So I would just be waiting around, loitering around. So I just felt, okay, instead of doing that, just spend time at work and do extra work. So people just said, oh, this boy loves to work. They didn't know that I was just trying to manage my life. But that was my story to where I am today. And I'm really, really grateful to God Almighty for how far He has brought me. It's been a long journey. And that's why whatever happens to me, I really don't know how it is to feel cocky and arrogant because I know I still see myself as this 24-year-old skinny boy who came to Lagos just looking for an opportunity. I'm glad for all of the opportunity that has been presented to me. I'm grateful for them. So I'm just here to teach you. And nobody can really teach anybody anything. I'm just here to share with you 5 nuggets of maybe recipes for success. And there could be more than 5, but these are my top 5. And number 1 will be vision. Vision is so important. You know, I tell everybody, you are the CEO of your life. You have to design your life. You can hire anybody to be part of your life, and you can fire anybody to be part of your life. You know, but being able to design your life, you know, people always tell you about, oh, how God, the destiny. Every man has one destiny. As far as I'm concerned, according to Mario Puzo in The Godfather, he said every man has one destiny. But I say the destiny you have is the destiny you've designed for yourself. All right? So that vision to sit down and say, look, this is what I want my life to be like. And you know, the thing is about vision is that it's almost like dreaming. Where I am today, so many things will happen to me in life. And I always feel like I have this sense of deja vu when they happen. It's almost like it's happened to me before. You know why? I've dreamt it like 100 times before. So when it finally happens, I'm like, this feels familiar. This feeling feels familiar. So dreaming is free. And how big you can dream is how bigger your vision gets. You know, there are so many people who you speak to them, oh, look, what's your dream? What do you want to be? The first thing they will tell you is, oh, I know what I want to become, but I don't have money. You see, you're already looking for the problem to a vision you have not even created. All right? You know, but have the vision first. The dream is free. And you see, what happens is that once you have a very clear vision, you begin to see how you can actualize it. You know, so, but that's why you see some people in the US, oh, he won $30 million in the lottery. And then you track their life 5-7 years after, they end up being poorer than they were before they won that lottery. You know what happened? No vision. So there are so many people who will complain to you about, oh, their situation now, it's so terrible. But if you were to give them $1 billion today, in 3 years' time, they are worse off than they were before they got that money. So what are you going to do? There's a gentleman who looked at this country, and it looks about 3 trillion of naira we've spent so far, and we keep spending on fuel subsidy, right? I'm sure he was in his house looking, how can this country be spending this kind of money on petrol subsidy? So we have natural crude, right? None of the refineries are working. So what we just do, we tap the crude, send it overseas, they refine the crude, and we'll bring it in. And then we'll now sell it to us even more expensive than it should be. Well, because we have no refineries, we can't even argue. What did the man do? He started dreaming. He had a vision. I'm going to build one of the biggest refineries in the world. That refinery, it started as a dream. It was a vision. Guess what? In the next couple of days, that refinery will be commissioned. From a dream to a vision, now we're talking reality. This guy is going to be, he's already the richest man, the richest black man in the world anyway. So give him another 5 years running this enterprise. You can imagine what he's going to become. So it means if that man is still dreaming and still has vision for his life, what are you doing? What am I doing with our lives? So number 1, vision. Number 2 is networking ability. You want to be successful? Better get your networking shoes on. You know, me, I have the opportunity to go for foreign conferences, whatever. If there's anybody worth meeting anywhere I go, I don't care. Even if I have to stalk you and hide behind the pillar and waylay you and ambush you, trust me, I'm going to get my card into your hand one way or another. You know, just that ability to just tell people who don't know who you are about yourself. Share with them and make this beautiful adire or whatever it is that you make that will let them be able to experience the work of your hand for the first time. Who knows? You might blow them away. You've just added one more ambassador so that when they are talking about you, when you're not there, there's somebody who is able to raise up their hand. Oh, I met this other young lady the other day who does this fantastic whatever it is that you do, and then can convert for you. Some people are shy. I'm one of them. Unbelievably, as it sounds, I'm really naturally a very shy person. And that's why one of the reasons why I actually studied theater arts. I thought just studying theater arts and being on stage was going to help me overcome my shyness. But I just realized that sometimes these things never leave you. But when it comes to networking, and I know there's somebody important that I have to meet and I have to engage, that shyness suddenly flies out of the window, because for me, this is what I must do to be successful. All my life, I've been the guy who will go into anywhere and meet anybody and share. I don't need anything from you. I just want you to know what I do. I just want you to know that I believe in my ability to deliver. The first thing I did when I was looking for a job, and they said, the man said, oh, we have no job there. They had no job in that first company that I worked in. I said, I'm not looking for a job. I want you to give me a test. I know I'm good. I had the best result in my graduating year. I know I'm I know I'm going to be a damn good copywriter. So I'm not here for a job. I want a test. The man kept saying, we don't have a job. I said, I don't want your job. I want your test. Eventually, he considered. Come back next week, Thursday. We'll give you a test. And if you're as good as you say you are, we'll give you a job. Network, network, network. And there's the cliche, your network is your net worth. But it is just not a saying. It is the truth. Consider this. Make this your motto for this 2023. I'm going to meet 100 very important people. Out of that 100, I want to see how many I convert. Out of the 100 people that are important that you've listed down that you want to meet, how many of them are you going to be able to pitch what you do to? How many of them? Then see how many through which any of those contacts you are able to get somebody to call you and patronize you. Network, network, network. The only thing better than network is networking. Because networking is like network in progress, right? So network is very, very, very important. Number 3, I'll call it unstoppable drive, right? If you look at the most successful people in the world, the most successful men, the most successful women in the world, there's just something about them that is unstoppable. People like Oprah got fired from her job. Her first job as a broadcaster, I think she got fired. Did that stop her? No. You fire me from this TV station, I will set up my own network. People like Samuel L. Jackson. Funny enough, most people don't understand it. This is like one of the highest paid actors in the world. His career started in his 40s. Not that his career blew up in the 40s. So his career started in his 40s. Since then, he has remained unstoppable. There has to be, and you know the thing about being unstoppable, again, for Nigerians, you don't even need to preach to us because Nigerians naturally are just built like that. So I go around Africa, I've never seen people as resilient as us before. Look at the economy. If what has happened to the economy of Nigeria since independence, the amount of corruption, the amount of stealing, looting of the treasury, mismanagement of the fiscal policy, monetary policy, if it happened to almost any other economy in the world, that economy will have gone 6 feet under since. But Nigerian economy somehow is staggering, but it is still standing. So it shows that the economy is even as resilient as the people themselves, the people who own the economy. So the thing is about us, we are unstoppable, but we need to take that being unstoppable to another level, because the bottlenecks, the impediments for success are getting higher in this country. You know, if you look at the generation of all the wealthy people in this country, you see that it almost seems to stop at a certain period. If you check how many new billionaires have come out of Nigeria recently, not many. And of course, you still have to follow the street talk that says most Nigerian rich people really can't account for their wealth. So that's why they don't write too many books. And if you ask them, how did you make their money? They are likely to tell you, that God do. But honestly, what you must say about anybody, no matter how they made their money, there will have been several bottlenecks that they had to cross to get to that point of success. I always joke to my friends, I said, for our generation, we were the generation that scaled the fence and jumped into the building of success, because we were not supposed to even get through to the gate. And since we knew the gate had been locked, what did we do? We scaled the fence and jumped in. So I'm sure some people will look, how did this dada boy get into this compound? You know what I mean? But it is part of just being unstoppable. Because if we want to start to recount all the problems and the bottlenecks facing you in this country, how many are you going to count? So the energy that you use to complain and count, you just use that to add more fuel to what you do, to know that, look, I have to up the scale. To get here from the mainland where my office is, I've seen Shege this morning. Just to commute from the mainland to the island. So I could come and tell Tosi, so there's fuel queue and then the scarcity, and that is the reason why I can't make this appointment. Not only did I get here, I got here on time. So you just must refuse to be stopped. You must just refuse to be stopped, because there is no end to the kind of challenges we face trying to run a successful business in this country or on the continent. Number 4 will be hunger for knowledge. Hunger for knowledge. Something about us is that as unstoppable as we are and as hungry as we are for success, we are easily satisfied. That's one thing I've noticed. Most people are easily satisfied. So the guy that has been dreaming, the day I will hammer this money, small change enters. You're heading to the club. you just want to pop champagne and then spray this money. So we're easily satisfied. And even if you look at the creative space, so there's this musician who's been praying to God, let me blow. That's his or her prayer point. The moment 5 people now recognize them in the BRT bus, Odogu. So you can't tell them nothing again. But there's something that got you to that point where you finally blew up. The hard work, the craftsmanship that made you recognizable, that made you successful. How are you going to keep building on it? I'll share with you what I did. Before the exchange rate became untouchable like it's been for most of us ordinary Nigerian folks, in 2012 when I set up my business, I realized 2 things were my weaknesses as an individual. My background is creative. So some of us are not even supposed to be entrepreneurs, right? It's the lie they told you when you were coming up. Oh, no. Creative people, they can't run a business. That if you believe those lies, you'll still be sitting where you were, right? But I realized that leadership and finance management were the 2 key aspects where if I didn't develop myself, that lack of knowledge will end up killing my business. So every year I went to an Ivy League school and I studied only 2 things: leadership, and finance management. Today, if I talk, my accountant always says, why are you talking like an accountant? I said, no, I won't talk like an accountant. This accounting thing, we'll do it together. If you ask me 2 plus 2, I don't know it, but just put 2 naira plus 2 naira, then you see how much of an account genius I am. And I kept on going. I went to Howard University in DC, like the biggest, one of the oldest black universities in America. I went to Columbia in New York. I went to Stanford. I went to Harvard. I kept on going. Before the exchange rate became prohibitive and I can no longer go anywhere. If not, if the exchange rate was still normal, you'll see that I'm in Yale. You can just keep on improving, because why do you think Apple will keep taking our money? iPhone 6, iPhone 7X, iPhone 10, iPhone X, iPhone 13, now they are in 14. Because they know that 6 months technology is already old technology. As a people, we have to keep updating, retooling, because, if I'm interviewing someone, one of the reasons why I may not hire you is if you start to tell me, that's how we used to do it. I don't want to hear that's how we used to do it, because that how you used to do it was good for that time. I'm asking you, what is good for now? What is good for, as a matter of fact, what now is a bit outdated. What is good for the next 10 years? So it's about that hunger for knowledge. How do you retool yourself? Because that's why you look in your industry, check. There were people who were really the names in that industry 10 years ago. Only a few of them are still relevant. If you check the few of them that are relevant today, those are the few people who kept on chasing knowledge and improving themselves, improving their processes, improving their system. So don't ever sit down somewhere and say, we have arrived. One of my favorite sayings is that success is a journey. Success is a journey. It's not a destination. There's no final bus stop called success was Ebola. No, there's nothing like that. The richest black man in the world is not the richest man in the world. He still has to contend with the richest man in Asia, the richest man in Europe, the richest man in the world. So success, and even the richest man in the world still has something he's chasing, right? Yes, you can sleep and wake up and your stock has dropped, and then this third richest man has overtaken you. So there's no final bus stop for success. You have to just keep chasing it and saying, what are we going to do next? So it is just that hunger for knowledge and for everything that would help you develop and keep taking your craft to the next level. You must never give up, because the truth is, in this business of life, you never arrive. The day we arrive is the day we go that 6 feet under. That's when we finally arrive. But as long as you're in this business and you're in this race, you have to just keep chasing it. The final suggestion for me is, how many letter word? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 letter word, I think. Humility. Humility is so, so, so important. And why is humility important? I'm sure I'm not the church going type that much. I wish I could get better in my church life. But I'm sure in the Bible, if we search very well, there's some part of the Bible that says God detests the proud, the proud. So let's start from the guy that's created all of this. He hates the proud. So how do you find time to be humble? And sometimes you think you've arrived, success has now entered your head. Nobody's better than you, and then you look at everybody's like an ant before you. And God is smiling, because God created this whole universe. He still And in spite of creating the entire universe, you still see some of us, we have the temerity to look at God and say, you don't even exist. But he's still humble enough to not just point one finger and destroy that person. So who are you and who am I? So whatever, having gone through this, all of the other things I've suggested, plus the other things you find out in life, and you become successful, please just always remember to be humble. Because sometimes not being humble can make you lose everything. Once you have your head in the cloud, nobody reach you, shoulders up. You self-destruct. And that's why, because humility, lack of humility does not make you see. Nobody can even talk to you anyway. You know, I liken it, the metaphor I use for it is almost like somebody who has a dream. They just have a house and they've been praying for a television set. Their own ambition is just to have a TV set in that house. So maybe because of this jackpot syndrome that has happened to all of us, I'm sure everybody in this room probably knows somebody who lives in America somewhere. A brother or a friend lives in America, and then they send you a TV set. So here you are. Yesterday you were praying for it. Today, the TV set is in your house. But you didn't factor one thing in. The voltage in America is different from the voltage in Nigeria. So you need a step down, right? If you don't have a step down, what happens? You plug that TV to the current, what happens? It blows up. That's exactly what happens when you become successful. Are you prepared? Do you have a step? That step down is humility. Without that step down, your head is going to explode. So there are so many people, I've seen it in entertainment, I've seen it in business. They prayed for success, but they didn't pray for that gift to be able to carry the power that comes with that success. So all of a sudden, you can't control it. Power, they shake you. I've seen presidents fall off their throne. I've seen kings. God has sent kings to the jungle to crawl on all fours just because they were not humble. That will not be your portion, I pray. Thank you very much. I'll take questions and comments. Thank you. Thank you very much.
My question will be coming from the aspect of networking. I also use the word satisfied. I had a dream to have be an agri manager. I was able to just walk 2 lines, and I found myself having my first job. The pay is a little bit, so I felt kind of. So when I went ahead to look into the networking thing, I connected with somebody that led to something, and that was even how I went to meet. I saw the post Madam made on this program. I was not part of those that applied. I read through the comments. Someone was interested, and she told the person that they are fully booked. So I just felt like I wrote the comment there that I would have loved to be here, which led to why she gave me the opportunity to be here. Then I read a response to that person saying she's going to give the link when the Zoom link for us to join. But I was like, I don't need this online thing again. I need to be there. I need to be there. So now the aspects of networking, when I started the process of networking, I met with Austin Okere. I was able to get his response and he said to my mentor. But now the question is, how do I get value from this person? Yeah, the only way you can give value on the online space is to be there, engage with them. Why do I get this person to guide me? Because that is what it's all about. If I know you now, it's not just I know Steve. No. How do you impact me? How do your value now rub on me and then change my level?
Very good. I'll start from even the question you didn't ask. For me, if there's somebody I admire, all right, I study the person 24/7, not 24/7, but I study the person a lot. Every move they make, I scrutinize. I try to reverse engineer the thought process that led them to that decision point. I'll give you an example. If Dangote decides to set up a refinery, okay, or Dr. Mike does something very important, he sets up another business. What was Dr. Mike Adenuga thinking when he took this decision. I can reverse that process, reverse engineer that process in my head. And okay, maybe I don't have money to set up a glow, but if it is one chewing gum that I want to start manufacturing, I can apply that same thought process and it can help my life. That means I'm going online, every interview, and for most of them, they don't even have too many interviews out there anyway. But if that interview is out there that he has granted about business, know that I'm consuming it. I'm getting, if annual report of the company is out, trust me, I'm checking it out. I'm checking the line items of that's on their P&L and seeing, okay, which area are they investing in? That is a lot of education than for you to even start discussing with the man. But now in this case, if the man has already agreed to be your mentor, there's nothing anybody can do for you. If he has an email or if you have his email, is to ask all those pertinent questions that's around where you are in your journey right now. You want to do something, you want to get the benefit of input so that you don't make mistakes that several businessmen and women have made in the past. That's why you need a mentor, right? So it's in being able to ask the right question. The man is not a genius. He's not a wizard. He cannot read your mind. So if you have any particular challenge, then he can talk you through it. So it's in all about asking questions and follow-up questions. There's this tool called ChatGPT. How many people? It's just the way ChatGPT works. So you tell them, write me a program. I want to set up an online gaming system. You can write, but for where? You have to be specific. If you ask, then you get the answer. I think that's what you should do more of. All right.
Sorry, guys. I'm going to have to use my veto power to stop the Q&A session because fortunately and unfortunately, I want to make 2 or 3 comments myself and we've run out of time. Now, I want to add to what Steve responded to you just by using myself as an example to help you contextualize what you're trying to do. When I was a student of marketing communications 15 years ago, after a career in banking of 10 years, so it's not that I was just starting. So I had done a whole decade of working in a career I didn't like. So I was trying to reorchestrate my life, and I figured the best thing to do was to do something that was along the lines of my natural inclinations. I looked everywhere and said, communications. There's one person I narrowed down in those years. Them, Steve, I'm sure you were still babies then. I looked, I saw Dr. Sho. He used to do apprentice with his bow tie in those years. I was like, okay, you know what? Hang on there. I went to school, did a master's, said, people were saying, go and do an MBA. I said, no, I don't want to come back to finance because I do not understand finance. Steve is my kindred spirit. Everything he just said, that's what I do with my finance guys as well. Just, the basics that I need to run the business, right? But I don't like finance. So I went to do a marketing communications in the hope that I would come back and work in that industry. While I was a student, I met Dr. Sho on the plane. What do you think, someone like me that had been plotting, how do you think I felt? I thought I had seen God. I was first shaking where I was sitting. 30 years old though. I was like, should I go? Should I not go? Should I go? Should I go? And I borrowed says, I said, let me just go, Sha. And in my foolishness, I went there. Hello, sir. I'm a student of marketing. I've been watching you. Honestly, I don't know if you can be my mentor, just the way you're looking for mentors. That thing is idiotic. I'm sorry, excuse my French. Because these guys are too busy. Me, I'm not even Dr. Sho yet. I'm not even Steve yet, but I'm too busy. You don't want to know what I go through in my daily life trying to run a business or family. It's crazy. I cannot. This week that we've taken out to do this, my clients want to cut my neck off. I said, I beg of you. It just feels like something that we need to do before we start the year. This was the plan to come out with our brand in 5 years. For 5 years, we said nothing. Do you understand? Now, when Dr. Sho gave me his card, in my mind, I had struck gold. I got to my hostel, trying the number. None of the numbers went through. That must have been his fake card. Guess what? I tell him the story now, he's always rolling. Whenever I tell him the story, he's almost falling off his chair because he can't remember. So what happened was when I came back from school, I now continued my plot. The plot didn't quite work, but it's a long story. Because I went back to banking again. Within 3 months, I said, so you saved all the money you saved to do a master's in England to come back to banking? Within 3 months, I resigned. I went and I literally was sleeping in my room and looking at the roof. Until today, why I still always tell my husband he's the best thing after fried fish is because he didn't mind. He said, resign now if you don't like the work. If he had told me, I can't bear this family alone, I would have been screwed and I would have still been in banking. So that mere decision to support is valuable. And someone spoke about spousal, right? Some days ago, very good. Now, one person I had met in banking calls me because he felt, oh, this lady is so professional. Everybody knows him. I told this story. Did you read my interview in This Day? Mr. Babaeko was one of my clients in bank to show you how God directs you to somewhere just to get something. Because he was one of the biggest clients. And I was really tough on him because naturally I'm just a tough person, right? But he still called me and said, Madam, I heard you left the bank. Why did you leave? I said, sir, don't worry about me. I'm just looking for a marketing media related job. Serendipitously, the guy goes, really? I'm just setting up a magazine. Come and run it now. I said, really? I was sleeping in a dark room for 2 weeks. And someone calls me from nowhere. It's like a call from God. And says, come and run a magazine that I knew nothing. Because don't forget, I only did the master's. I didn't have experience. But without that job, I wouldn't have gotten the next and the next and the next. Was I still dreaming of Dr. Show? Somewhere in my whatever. Now, someone calls me one day and says, you know what? Come and work now in this group. I interviewed once, they didn't take me. The second time, I had the opportunity to go on a higher level to run the PR agency because I had experience in other regards, right? So a business-related role. Guess what? I was going to meet with Dr. Show. Do you know what happened? Exactly what you said. I started reading all his interviews. How does he speak? How does he look? What does he want? But more importantly, when I faced him, I just told him my story. It wasn't an interview. It was a chat. I said, guy, in whatever way I addressed him then, all I want is to do comms because that's all I know how to do. That singular opportunity changed my life. But guess what? I still didn't tell him that I met him maybe 10 years or whatever before. Do you know what I did to him? I just buried my head in the agency and continued my work. I was walking like a cow. Guys, I was walking like a dog. 3 a.m. I'm on my emails. The people didn't know what was driving me. The people at the agency. So that one is another story, another ball game. Because the second story I want to move into, and I'll tell you what happened. Because by the time I spent years at that agency, Dr. Shaw himself spotted me as one of the lights that could continue to lead. By the time I said by myself that I was leaving, he tried to do everything to stop me. But I had to leave at the time because my mind told me it was time. That's a different story. The second story I want to go to is the story of entrepreneurship. And that's where Steve comes in. Because everybody thinks, oh, how did she get all these people to come and speak? Me too, I don't know. But guess what? When I first started, and Ari, I was just saying to her this morning, does she remember me? Because 5 years ago, when I first started, I was like, Lord have mercy. The challenges were so big. Like, I couldn't even wrap my head around running a business. Who told you people that I know how to run a business? Do you see? Like, at every stage, beyond the fear, the challenge, the things you don't know, the finance, it was just Herculean. And all I was looking for was who can help me. I didn't know Steve Babaeko, but I knew of him, but I didn't know him personally. And since he was one of the leaders in the industry, what do you think I did? I shot my shot again. Do you see how I like shooting shots? And as gracious as he is, he was like, of course, come over. Come over. Ping, 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 ping. I see have that picture. I post it sometimes to say, see you people, see who helped me. Steve spent 2 hours with me that day. By the time I left his office, I knew that this was doable. Because the story he told you people today, he told me then. Do you see the power that fell into my hands? The story of him coming from Kaduna, I said, hey, I've been in this Lagos, in this VI, with the kind of people I know. Someone now came from Kaduna on a bus. Do you know the people I know? Me, my story is different. I don't even have that, rags to riches story. I actually come from a background that actually knows a lot of powerful people. Then I can't use it to my advantage. For the love of God, guys, there's a lot to be done in the world. But beyond doing, beyond taking, you have to give. Just remember to give. So that it is on this note that I want to thank Steve profusely for giving today, because there's no way we could have done this digital marketing bootcamp without people like him coming to share life stories. I thank you profusely. Thank you.